The criminal regime of NRM is planning to pass the sovereignty bill, which makes foreigners, even if you're Ugandan residing outside the country, to be criminals if they send money even to their relatives. But Honorable SOVEREIGNITY gave out some interesting side, coming out to say that the sovereignty bill is targeting foreign funding to political parties. It is the truth. SOVEREIGNITY said these statements.
The content of the bill, what is written in the bill, sometimes may not go as far as revealing the intention of those who are behind the bill, because the content will never cover the full intention. It's just a framework, it's just a shield. But this bill deals with the movement of money, mainly.
Foreign funding.
Yes. We did a law on money laundering. We did a number of legislation regarding movement of money, financing of terrorism, and so on and so forth. So there was no need to do another law. But I think this bill comes to deal with politics. Mr. Museveni, because he controls the means of violence, his regime survives on money and violence. In the last election, I have spoken to some NRM friends. They tell me because he keeps asking these fellows who have no money, how comes they are sustaining a campaign? How comes they are doing this and this? And then his handlers will tell him, no, they are still receiving money from outside. I remember each time we had either protests in Kampala, Museveni and his people will say, you hired these boys, you are giving them money, they want to burn petrol station, they want to do this, foreign influence, and so on and so forth. So this bill seeks to achieve the same things, that how do I stop people who are opposed to my administration from accessing money? How do I stop? Because they think the opposition is sponsored by the outside.
Afro. That is Honorable SOVEREIGNITY, and I think he has some iota of truth, because our Constitution of Uganda put a cap of foreign funding, I think, at 150 million per year. A political party should not receive 150 million. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me, from foreigners. That's why a law was brought for political party to be given political party funds, depending on representation they have in parliament. But even away from that, you clearly see that this sovereignty bill, it is an attack on constitutionalism and human rights. There are very many civil service organizations and religious organizations, the banks association, etc. They are coming out to say that this law is so draconian. But under dictatorship, such laws should emerge. Instead of making laws to make our economy better, streamlining trade policies, employment policies, we are passing laws that are trying to sit on people, on people's economy, or on people perceived to want to change government. And that is so unfortunate. Okay? General Museveni has outlived his usefulness. I recently did a video saying that the ultimate biggest thing that General Museveni has ever achieved is the revolution of 1980. He was built for that purpose. But the purpose of lifting Uganda from poverty to maybe a middle-class country, or from making Uganda a better country in terms of constitutionalism, okay, in terms of rule of law, has failed him. Countries are built by different leaders doing different things. Mao Zedong brought a revolution in China. Okay. Deng Xiaoping lifted it for almost 200 people from poverty. Xi Jinping is now putting China on a global stage. Every leader is tailored to do something. The more we keep General Museveni on the seats of power, is the more Uganda is going to fail. And history has told us that. Even today, the leader of opposition, SSENYONYI, came out to explain it even better, to tell you the bad things which are within this law. He said these statements.
Ugandans live abroad,
Suppose a Ugandan doctor working in London pays $100 US, roughly 380,000 Uganda shillings, into the bank account of his local political party in Kampala as membership dues. Because the doctor in London is considered a foreigner under Clause 1B, the local party treasurer has just received foreign funding. If this pushes the party's annual foreign funding to over 20,000 currency points without the minister's approval, the treasurer of that political party faces 20 years in prison under Clause 22, and the funds are forfeited to the state. This is not right. By placing a cap on foreign money, which includes diaspora remittances to parties, the Minister of Internal Affairs is handed an absolute veto over opposition party financing. If the minister dislikes an opposition party, he simply refuses the written approval for their diaspora funding. The party is financially suffocated by state fiat, directly violating our country's constitution. Let me talk about the unconstitutional overbreadth and vagueness of this law, this bill. The legislative drafting of the bill fails the constitutional test against vagueness, granting the executive arbitrary power to punish dissent. This is the catch-all foreigner. Clause 1E allows the minister to declare any person, institution, or body a foreigner. Suppose a local trade union stages a strike demanding higher wages, embarrassing the government. The minister can simply sign a statutory instrument declaring that trade union a foreigner. Overnight, the union leaders become unregistered agents of a foreigner and they face immediate arrest. How can this be right? Clause 22H states that the act applies to anyone who influences the public to oppose the policy of government. As the leader of the opposition, my literal duty and the team that I work with is to oppose government policy that is injurious to the citizenry and offer alternative policy positions, which we do every so often. A local civil society group running a radio talk show explaining why a new tax is harmful could be jailed for 20 years. That's problematic.
That is the leader of opposition, Jelson. So you clearly see that the sovereignty bill is going to hinge on our human rights, on our economy, classifying Ugandans who reside outside the country as criminals if they send money even to their relatives, which is unfortunate. So for me, such draconian laws, I even feel bad and ashamed that as a country can sit down to debate such a law being brought by the executive, which purposes is won the elections by 70%. How unfortunate. You clearly see that General Museveni has become even more unpopular. Of course, as my opinion is truly Mr. Makindi Kabesulaman Magali. If you're into this channel, please subscribe, like, and comment so that I'm motivated to do more of such videos. I'll see you on another one. Peace.